Teofimo Lopez Sr. stunned the boxing world after Shakur Stevenson's dominant win, not by defending his son, but by ripping into him. While fans expected unity or excuses, his blunt criticism exposed deep frustration and unresolved tension. The contrast was jarring. Stevenson calm and clinical in victory, while the Lopez camp unraveled publicly. His words hinted at issues beyond the ring: discipline, preparation, and decision-making under pressure. Instead of celebrating effort, the focus shifted to accountability and blame. The fallout has raised serious questions about Teofimo's future, his corner, and whether the biggest damage from this loss happened after the final bell. For some reason, nobody expected the night to unfold the way it did. Madison Square Garden was packed, the lights were bright, and everything was set up for Teofimo Lopez to remind the world exactly who he is. His father was confident. His team was confident. And Teofimo himself walked into the ring believing this was his moment. But when the final bell rang, the story was very different. And what followed was one of the most emotional and brutally honest post-fight reactions we've seen in a long time. Teofimo Lopez Sr. didn't sugarcoat anything. Still visibly shaken, he admitted that the game plan they worked on in camp never showed up in the ring. According to him, the rhythm was supposed to be different. The timing was supposed to disrupt Shakur Stevenson. The idea was to stop Shakur from doing what Shakur does best. But none of that happened. Lopez Sr. said plainly that his son didn't do what he was told to do, and that frustration poured out of him as he tried to make sense of what he had just watched. He gave Shakur his credit, congratulating him for the win. But he was adamant that the fighter in the ring wasn't the version of Teofimo they prepared. To him, something was off long before the opening bell. He hinted that the build-up to the fight, the constant talk from networks and media about Shakur's next opponent and future plans, may have gotten into his son's head. Instead of being fully locked in on the task at hand, there was too much noise, too many distractions, and too many people already looking past him. Lopez Sr. went even deeper, acknowledging that his son can be affected mentally. He described Teofimo as someone who is easier to mess with psychologically, especially when it feels like the entire world is rooting against him. He asked a simple but heavy question: how do you fight your best fight when it feels like everybody wants you to lose? That sense of isolation, of fighting uphill, not just against an opponent, but against perception, seemed to weigh heavily on both father and son. He also addressed rumors that surfaced earlier in the week, including talk about him being drunk at a press event. He dismissed those claims entirely, saying he didn't attend because he was resting. But he believes that even those rumors added to the pressure, contributing to an environment that wasn't healthy for his son heading into such a high-stakes fight. In his eyes, the most painful part wasn't just losing. It was watching everything they drilled in sparring completely disappear. The power wasn't there. The sharpness wasn't there. The execution was gone. The version of Teofimo that showed up on fight night didn't resemble the fighter they saw every day in camp. Teofimo Lopez himself appeared just as emotionally drained. Sitting quietly after the fight, his words revealed a much deeper struggle than just a loss on the scorecards. When asked about reflecting on his career and appreciating how far he's come, his answer was blunt. He said he doesn't appreciate it, not because he doesn't care, but because he feels like every achievement comes with punishment instead of reward. He spoke about feeling butchered, overlooked, and even questioned whether God punishes him rather than lifts him up. It was one of the rawest moments of the night. Teofimo admitted he rarely feels pride in what he's accomplished. Instead, he feels like a punching bag, constantly taking hits emotionally and mentally. Even when people around him expressed appreciation, he pushed back, saying he never got his fair share. Not once. But despite all that pain, he accepted that this is his journey, and all he can do is keep moving forward. Inside the ring earlier that night, the fight itself told a clear story. Teofimo struggled to generate consistent offense, often looking discouraged between rounds. When he spoke afterward, he kept it respectful and simple. He said Shakur didn't surprise him at all. The issue wasn't Shakur doing something unexpected. It was that he didn't come in with the right plan. He called Shakur the better man that night and said he would let his team decide what comes next, including whether a rematch is even realistic. On the other side, Shakur Stevenson was calm, confident, and completely unsurprised by the outcome. He said the fight went exactly how he prepared for it. He stayed disciplined throughout camp, came in tremendous shape, and executed his strategy perfectly. He praised Teofimo as a hell of a fighter, but made it clear he believed he was on a different level. Shakur explained that once he felt Teofimo's strength in the early rounds, he knew he had the advantage. He talked about controlling the tempo, using his jab, working the body, and landing clean shots while taking very little in return. When Teofimo tried to fight back, Shakur adjusted calmly, picking him apart with precision rather than force. There was no disappointment in his performance, only confirmation of what he already believed. He even acknowledged moments where he thought he might stop Teofimo, but respected his toughness when he fought back to survive. To Shakur, this wasn't just a win. It was a technical statement, a demonstration of ring IQ, patience, and control. That view was echoed across the boxing world almost immediately. Lennox Lewis praised Shakur for dominating nearly every round, pointing to his timing, rhythm, speed, and ability to control the ring. Lewis said it became clear after the fourth round that Shakur was taking over completely, dictating the pace and neutralizing everything Teofimo tried. Keyshawn Davis described the experience of watching the fight at a sold-out Madison Square Garden as surreal. He admitted it hadn't fully sunk in yet, calling it a dream scenario and praising Shakur for delivering such a commanding performance on the biggest stage. Ryan Garcia weighed in on social media, criticizing Teofimo's game plan and pointing out how he failed to adapt. Garcia noted that Teofimo couldn't disrupt Shakur's rhythm and struggled to find openings against his disciplined southpaw style. That sentiment was widely shared online, with many fans and analysts agreeing that Shakur shut Teofimo down strategically rather than physically. Andre Ward offered a broader perspective, reminding everyone that despite how dominant this performance was, Shakur's story is far from finished. Ward highlighted his creativity, adaptability, and elite boxing IQ, saying this fight was just one chapter in a legacy that is still being written. According to Ward, Shakur can box as long as he wants because he takes so little punishment, and that alone sets him apart. Analysts later broke down where the fight went wrong for Teofimo. They pointed out that he needed to fight off the back foot, bait Shakur into leading, and counter. Instead, he pressed forward without reading the timing, falling directly into Shakur's patient traps. Shakur thrives when opponents act first, and Teofimo gave him exactly that opportunity over and over again. This wasn't unfamiliar territory either. Observers referenced Teofimo's past struggles against southpaws, particularly the Sander Martin fight, where rushing in without a plan led to repeated punishment. Against someone as precise and patient as Shakur Stevenson, those mistakes were magnified. By the end of 12 rounds, the scorecards told the story clearly. Shakur Stevenson had won nearly every round, capturing his fourth divisional world title and firmly establishing himself as one of the most complete fighters in boxing today. He controlled distance, dictated exchanges, and stayed mentally composed from start to finish. The victory didn't just elevate Shakur. It raised serious questions about what comes next for Teofimo Lopez, both inside the ring and mentally. Talent has never been the issue, but on this night, preparation, clarity, and composure made all the difference. So now the question turns to you. After watching Shakur Stevenson dominate Teofimo Lopez with such precision and control, what did you think of the fight? Where does Teofimo go from here? And who should Shakur face next? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.